About 15 years ago, I did my first catalog on antique doll clothing. And since that time, I have done 9 other catalogs. The last time I did one, about 7 or 8 years ago, I said this will probably be the last one that I will ever have because doll costumes, antique doll costumes, are becoming harder and harder to find. In the ensuing years, I have managed to pull together from several collectors who have held some of these cherished pieces in their home, beautifully preserved in archival paper and drawers, and they said, well, I'm ready to part with my collections now. So I'm really pleased to be able to offer you this wonderful collection of antique costumes. Costumes are so important in the presentation of a doll. A doll may be very beautiful, but the costume is the frame. It's the frame of that portrait. And to find a wonderful antique costume is just the most precious thing in the world. Obviously, they're harder to find. Why would that be? Because over the years, people bought dolls because they wanted to sew. So the original costume would disappear. It would be tossed away. It just horrifies me to tell you the number of times people have called and said, oh, that doll did have her old dress, but I threw it away. It was so dirty. And I'd say, no, please don't. But less and less is that happening. People are understanding the importance of preservation and history, and that even the most ragtag of the original costumes can be preserved. At any rate, here we are. I'm ready to show you some of the 350 antique costumes, accessories, hats, shoes, jewelry, bonnets that we will be offering you, even some antique wigs in the many, in what Finespun Threads auction coming up on March 12th. So very, very wonderful group. I want to begin with what may be my favorite piece in the entire catalog, partly because it's a boy's costume. I don't think it was ever designed as a doll's costume, but for a young boy, and certainly would appropriately work on a large paper mache or china doll with a boy's style. But let's look at this because it is a 3-part set. It has the vest with the high button pants that button up onto the vest. The pants are made of a wonderful linen, and this is what's great. Look where the pockets are. I'm going to turn it slightly. The pockets are at the back butt. That is really wonderful. So I imagine that would have been the very stylish pose of its day. That you'd stand in your pocket, your hands would be back in your pockets. So there are original pockets on both sides. This suit is really tailor sewn. It is not, it's not simple at all. Now, I want you to see, when I turn it around, look at the wonderful detailing on the back. The fitted waist with the sewn down pleats, and once again, the pocket in the jacket. The pockets on the back. So we have the pockets in the pants, which by the way has that very, very full kind of butt, which is sort of stylish in guys' clothes today. It's kind of interesting how everything goes around. Velvet collar, wonderfully sewn details. I think that this piece should be preserved as a fabulous piece of costuming. Look at the silk covered buttons, the original handmade buttonholes. This is an extraordinary piece. The dart shaping down here, I don't know if the camera can pick all of that up, but this is just a wonderful piece of early costuming, probably about 1830, 1840. Now we come on here, and we're very happy to offer you some pieces for early dolls and for the early fashion dolls. On my right-hand side, I have a wonderful plaid costume. If any of you are watching the series Victoria on TV now about young Queen Victoria, if you will know in that series how she becomes very involved with Scotland and with buying the castle in Scotland where she and her husband will go to on their many, many retreats with their children. And the whole concept of the Scottish romance became very, very big, not only in England but in France during the 1850 to 1860 period. And you'll find many costumes that were made in these Scottish plaids. And here's a wonderful ladies' costume, 2-piece with the jacket, the flat front skirt, the jacket trimmed with its black velvet and the black silk buttons. And turning around the back, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is because in the catalog you mostly see flat front of the costumes and you don't see dimensional effect. But the long jacket in the back, and then underneath it, the skirt, which extends to the back and has this wonderful fitted work. We have the ruffles down at the bottom with the black velvet ribbons, and the beautifully fitted jacket at the top, dark fitted, and then flaring out at the back. Very, very appropriate and wonderful on early papier-mâchés, early chinas, even some of the early French fashions. It's quite beautifully done. This is another early example from the 1840 to 1850 period, a very dainty fabric with transfer printed design, and I love the cream with the mauve design on it. I think it's so stylish of that period. But look at how this is made. Like, it has a very full bosom and then a very, very tiny fitted midriff and waist with cartridge pleating coming out, the pagoda sleeves with the ruffles on them, more of the cartridge pleating at the shoulders, which gives the fullness to the top of the dress. And let me turn it around so you can even see the cartridge pleating at the back waist. Very, very beautifully done. Very lovely and feminine one. And she's carrying her own little mauve silk purse with embroidered flowers at the side panels. It's a beautiful piece. So someone said, well, I don't know if I have a doll for that. And my comment is, buy the costume. They're harder to find than the dolls these days. Buy the costume, you will find a doll. I think it will just bring you luck and you will find it. Now, this is another very beautiful early gown. I don't know all of the historic names of these fabrics. I believe this one is called Bengaline, but it's a very, very distinctive texture of it and very crisp as well. And it lends itself to the kind of styling of these. So look at the blue silk ribbon that edges completely. Now, we're not just talking about one little line, but these are all sewn down pleats, so that blue silk ribbon is zigzagging back and forth, not only here, but all the way around the bottom of the skirt. And then when we turn it around, look, we have the two long lappets at the back that are also blue silk edged. Very, very beautiful piece. This is a very other lovely gown, which once again has that same fabric. I guess you must think that's a favorite of mine, but it is. And it achieves its very, very beautiful decoration from these sleeves, which are just absolutely stunning. And they are sleevelets, by the way. I don't know why they don't do this today. So when you wear a jacket or a vest, why do you have to have a whole complete blouse underneath? Why can't you have sleevelets or a chemisette? So whatever, if your sleeves you get something on the cuffs, then you just wash those. You don't have to wash the whole blouse. This made much more sense to me, but look at how beautiful these are. They're so full, and they have this ruffle that goes all the way up the side of this. Very, very full and voluminous. And then the wonderful fitted waist and the decorations of the green silk ribbon, which again in this little square cut design is stitched around the bodice and is decorating the skirt, and then the little draped green silk ribbons coming from the shoulders. A very beautiful piece. In the style that is called mode enfantine. And this was really originated by Adelaide Hooray, whose fashion doll, we call them fashion dolls today. People say, oh, I want to own a Hooray fashion. It's not a fashion in the sense that it's a lady doll fashion. It's more, I don't know, you'd almost like call it a child of perhaps somewhere between 10 and 12 years old, because the body is elongated, surely enough, like a child starting to grow tall, but it does not have a very slender waist like the French fashion dolls of the 1870s. So the style of clothing that were made for these dolls was much different. This is a very good example here. It's much shorter, plumper, fuller, more of a child style, enfantine. This is another beautiful example with silk and the overlay skirt. And she has, again, a beautiful little white blouse. This time they did do the entire blouse. They should have paid attention to their own tradition and done individual pieces. But there it is, very, very beautiful. And then I wanted to show you a couple of accessories because this auction also has many accessories. And we have here very beautiful bone-handled parasol with the silk fringe and the green silk cover. Little belt loop for hanging onto your belt. And another one that I've never seen this one before. I was so excited when I saw this. So this one again is carved bone, and it has the faux tortoise ball hand grip. It has the belt loop on the top, and when you open it up, it has the blue silk cover overlaid by a purple lace petal design. This is lace on top. It's a separate feature. It's not part of the blue pattern underneath. It's very, very beautiful. And again, the silk fringe, very different. And then occasionally, if you've watched my videos, you know how I love provenance, or I love a story. And here's a wonderful little hat box. And the hat box, as you can see, is a nice early hat box. Cardboard, and it has this little selection of little tiny hats that would be appropriate for a little early Grodner tall about this big, or little mignonettes, with this little note inside in old ink script that says, "Most beautiful, I wish you health to wear them," which is just absolutely wonderful, and a person's name and address inside. So that's a treasure. And I'm going to show you some more in just a moment now. It was so hard to choose costumes to show you, but I wanted to in particular show you costumes that I think you benefit from seeing the entire all-around dimension of the gown as opposed to just seeing the front, because some of them are so convoluted. This black silk or black taffeta gown, for example, has this very elaborate wrap which goes completely around and could be worn in a number of ways. It has a fitted back, and you can see how long it extends. It has these wonderful pagoda sleeves with the extra lace trim on them, both the white lace and the black overlay lace. And then turning it around the front again, you can see where this wrap went completely around the skirt. It's so complicated, it really took us about 5 minutes to figure out exactly how it went. An example of just a wonderful work that went into these. Now look at this beautiful gown. I love this fabric with this wonderful tricolor narrow stripes on the jacket with the fitted bodice and flat front. Beautiful fitted sleeves with the extra box pleats at the bottom at the cuffs. And turning it around, look at that bustle back. Is that wonderful? So the jacket comes down and flares out, but underneath that is this very, very full, very complicated construction bustle, and underneath that, the skirt itself. And the entire gown trimmed with pleated tulle. Very, very beautiful. And then on this side, we have my favorite color of, well, no, mauve maybe, but this is my second favorite color of all of the colors of that like 1860 to 1880 period in France, this ice blue silk color, because it's always so crisp and fresh looking. And look at these sleeves, how wonderful they are. They're not just very, very full sleeves, but they have two bands of silk that come around that give more shape to it, and then with just a little most delicate edging of lace with the petal cut edging on them. Wonderful fringe at the bottom, and let me turn it around so you can see the extended train and the lacing at the back. Gorgeous fashion gown. So a few more of my favorites, which are kind of generically known as the princess style dresses, which are fitted close to the body, were meant to fit very, very snugly on the dolls, and unless they are fitted that way, they really don't look right. But I picked out a couple of them because of the fabrics or the colors that I think are my special favorites. I love piqué. Anything piqué to me is just so wonderful, and it was done in so many different designs. The ribbed vertical, the ribbed horizontal, the waffle weave such as this one, and then wonderful detail of trim. Here's a very beautiful one with buttons all the way down the front and handmade buttonholes, lace edging, wonderful coat sleeves. Look at the little pockets, and they actually are pockets, and they're all lace edged. And then it has the little collar, which is almost the midi style collar, narrow in the front and forming a square in the back with the lace edging on it. And for the wonderful trim that so many of these dresses were designed, it always frustrates me when we have a doll costume and the back of the dress is as beautiful as the front. And I think, well, how are we going to show this? Because you want people to see the back of the dress too. But this back of the dress trimmed with a beautiful big blue sash and the pleats, which form in the middle to form a hidden inverted pleat in the center. Very, very beautifully done. Lovely dress. I love this dress. Oh, I wouldn't care if I had this on a doll or not. I just think this dress is stunning. A natural linen, and look at the broderie anglaise trim on this dress. It is so extraordinary. Well, first of all, there's a cord braid running all around there. There's the broderie anglaise, which edges the hem, which edges the front placket, which edges the collar. And did you realize this? I want to show you, because it's not just a dress, but it is a dress with an overlay vest. So you have the dress underneath, and then when you put this on and you button it, it appears like another dress, but it actually is the jacket. And turn it around and look at this. Wow. This is the back of the jacket. Look at that trim on the back of that jacket. This dress is so extraordinary. Little silk-covered buttons, perfect in every way. I put this in to show you because I love it so much. It's for a little slender-bodied boy, maybe like an early papier-mâché or an early china, and it's his brown velvet jacket and pants with, once again, Scottish plaid. Remember what I talked about, the Scottish plaid vest, and this could have been one of Queen Victoria's little boys wearing this outfit. And he has a little matching wooden umbrella to go with him, a wooden handled umbrella, and a little black cap with the red silk ribbon streamers. Wonderful piece with the little shirt. And another fabulous piece, a little dropped waist, princess style with a dropped waist, pleats all the way around, pleats at the cuffs, edged with wonderful handmade lace, and when we turn it around, you can see this wonderful wide collar that extends all the way around the back. And you can see that the detail of costuming continues to the back as well.